Welcome in everyone to episode 118 of Instigate Success, building an ABA franchise. Your host here, as always, Jake Schoen, aka Jakey Muffins. Wrapping up January already of 2026, jumping into February later this weekend. Um, so we are almost just about 1 month down in the year already. And that means we are getting towards the later portion of the ABA season. Um, so we'll cover this past weekend, this upcoming weekend, what we got coming up in the near future here for the Instigators and the ABA. Um, so that's what we've got on the schedule for tonight. You probably saw last week there was some weather in the area, and I think there's still kind of some cold fronts throughout the whole U.S., it seems. Um, and again, apologies. I'm using the touchscreen because the keypad still has not worked. Um, so uh, we have had some rescheduling and such, not only our team, but throughout the whole entire league, especially last week. And we'll break that down and obviously go over what did occur. We had the schedule I was building, and it continues to change. We'll take a look at that too, and kind of break down where we stand with everything like that. So we'll start with last week. Last weekend, we had scheduled a couple of games, but obviously the weather was not the greatest. And let's see if we can jump over here. Right, I think we've got that shared. Yep, we got that screen shared. So we're scrolling through here till we get to last week, and you'll see a bunch of probably zeros. Yeah, okay, here we go. We are at last week. So last week, January 24th, that's Saturday. Um, we had last weekend, originally, I believe we're scheduled to play the Aces, the number two team in the nation. Obviously, with the weather, that did not happen. We wound up rescheduling, and I think we actually rescheduled a couple of times, and we finally did have one game that did take place. And that game that took place was against the Lions. So we'll cover that first, and then we're going to jump throughout the rest of the league to kind of see where everything fell. So it was an 89 to 106 loss. Obviously this was a big game as far as standings go. Had we been able to pull off that game, it would have jumped us to 6 wins. It would have put us 1 win behind the Lions with a good number less losses. Instead, that puts the Lions back to 500. Also gives them the tiebreaker if we do wind up ending the season there with the same record. It looks like here, as far as the stats, we don't have our guys up, but the Lions were led by Chris Pete with 24. They also had Jordan Heidelberg with 18, Phil with 16, Mark Smith with a double double, 12 points and 13 rebounds. And actually, Heidelberg had a double double as well, 18 points, 10 assists. But you can see a low scoring effort in general from the game. Um, Although exceptionally high percentage from shooting, if that's accurate. Um, it can't be because we've got somebody that made a free throw without one being attempted. But anyways, it's 100% from the line, 78 on the field, and 57 from three. regardless of how that does account, it was a 106-89 loss for your Instigators. So still keeps us in that second, third spot as far as the standings within the division go. We're obviously going to take a closer look at that. Um, but looking across the league, last week, again, lots of games getting postponed, rescheduled, canceled, whatever you want to say. As far as that goes. But you can see there a couple of games did get played. Long Island Strong Arm, we have an undefeated team there, still undefeated, 141-89 win over Connecticut Surge. Um, Obviously, Louisville Pros, Ohio Kings, that one didn't take place. Um, Interesting though that a lot of these have the completed check mark. But you can see pretty much all of these games on here did not occur. So obviously Kings and Pros did not take place. Fury and Knoxville did not take place. Lucky Ducks and Tropics. So we were one of the few teams. I mean, just scrolling through here, most of the games did get canceled. Even down in the Texas region, Austin Bats, another undefeated team there. Do have the Wyoming Valley Clutch though, the 122-114 victory over the Binghamton Bulls. That is a good win for them there. Chicago Knights with a 127-89 victory. The Shuckers game postponed against 402 Elite. And then this was actually the other game we did, I believe, have on schedule for this past weekend against the Windy City Inferno. So that game also got postponed. Looking at Sunday, on last Sunday, again, most of those games, same thing, zeros, so postpones. See, Capital Spirit, Legends and 402 Elite. All these postponed. Did have the Silicon Valley Panthers taking down the Inland Empire Hounds, 140-101. So that is what we had last week. We'll take a look at the upcoming schedule because we did have so many games canceled and rescheduled last week. So it looks like this upcoming weekend, we've got the Ohio Kings. Looks like they may have rescheduled. I think that's what that thing means. I think they did reschedule this. The Kings and the Aviators. But we'll double check that in a little bit. The Wyoming Valley Clutch scheduled against the DC Crank. Knoxville Commerce against Circle City Pythons. This one's interesting. I don't know why that's showing already marked as far as the Aces in Chattanooga. The Rebels take on the Fury in a Chicago matchup there. You've got the Steel City Yellow Jackets taking on the Lions. Steel City, the leader in the division, and an undefeated team. The Shuckers and Legends on Saturday. It looks like we also got the Capitals and the Pros. Then on Sunday, we've got Chattanooga Strike against the Georgia Grizzlies. Chicago Knights against the Windy City Inferno. Another Chicago matchup there. Then we've got this is going to be our game for this week. So this is actually what the game's going to be. So we'll go into that in just a little bit. But the Instigators, we're going to be taking on the Legends on the road on Sunday. So I know that is a deviation from the originally scheduled program. So that does mean yet again that Motorsports Night will get rescheduled, postponed. We actually are pretty much got that all squared away at this point, and I think probably this weekend or Monday you'll see posts with the updated um, game schedule for that. But yeah, another time, we go into the weekend of motorsports night, and or the week of the in motorsports night, and we got to reschedule that. So we are still going to have that. So be on the lookout for that update. Still planning on having Brayton Laster as our celebrity player, and having all the sorts of things we've been talking about. So definitely still on the table, and I think either later this weekend or early next week you'll see official announcements with the updated events for that. Um, so that's what we will have in the near future for you. But for this week, we do have the road game against the Indiana Legends. Always a good in-state rivalry game. And I think we're actually in different divisions now, even though we used to be in the same division earlier in the year. So I think that's also an interesting note, because it's important for the region as far as where we stand with these games, but division wise, it might have a little less of an impact now. Akron Aviators taking on Buffalo Extreme. Buffalo Extreme, the number one team in the nation. Got 402 Elite going to take on North Tulsa. Southwest Warriors taking on Knoxville Commerce. And it looks like that is it for this weekend. Interesting. I would have to imagine that's got to be, maybe it's not, but I would think that's got to be a mistake there. If there's actually a game on a Wednesday at 2 p.m., that would be really interesting. But I guess we'll keep an eye on that too. But yeah, that's what we got as far as the schedule goes from last week, and looking at the upcoming schedule for this week. We're gonna jump over in just a little bit here. Actually, we might as well just jump over to there now and then come back here. So we're going to jump over to the Minotaur Minotaur streaming site. Again, highly recommend them for everybody who is an ABA fan, especially if you're a fan of the Central region, especially the Red and Blue divisions. Originally it was the whole Red division they covered. Then we got kind of split up between the Red and the Blue. So that's where you can go over here. These guys are amazing, always on top of it. And I think they're actually going to be streaming the games this weekend for the Legends. So here are your regional scores. So our region, we again were the only team that played. Us and the Lions, obviously, the only game that played. Rest of them postponed. So again, the games that we had scheduled, we had a game scheduled against the Inferno and a game against the Aces. We also tried to reschedule those, or add in another game against the Legends, and that also got postponed. So now we've got, now we've got the Legends this week, and then we had the Lions last week. So that is what we had. The Red Division, all of their games had gotten postponed. And the wrong thing. And you can see here the standings. So after this, or actually, I guess the Legends still are within our division. So this game actually does have a pretty big weight then when it does come into the playoff standings. But looking at where it stands currently, according to the standings here, Steel City Yellow Jackets still undefeated. They've pretty much solidified and locked up that number 1 seed unless something unforeseen happens. Even with the loss, we still technically have the second best record. Puts us at 5-3, 5-4 on the ABA site, but 5-3 on here. And it just depends if they count that one game or not. Didn't really play it, so that's why it shows 5-3. The Lions, though, with that win, jump up to 500 again, so 7-7. The Legends at 5-6. So with a win here, that would put the Legends back at 500. And then obviously, that's gonna put us definitely in the wrong way, the wrong wrong streak, I guess you could say, going. If we have a loss on that, that would obviously complicate things in that middle portion of the standings. Hypothetically, that puts us at 5-4, 5-5 on the ABA site, which basically puts all of us right at that 500 mark. And then it's going to go by obviously number of games played. So that would be the Lions at the top as far as right now. And then obviously head to head, they also have the tiebreaker there. The Aviators at 3-4. So with a win this week, they could also jump up to that 500 mark. The Shuckers at 2-8. And actually, the Legends play the Shuckers on Saturday, so the Legends will be able to see if they're at 500 already and trying to break over 500 again. So actually, that is it's going to be more important if it is that case with the game coming up on Sunday. But that is what we've got coming for the standings from last week. So right now we're still looking in, but obviously we need to, get some wins racked up to kind of solidify our spot in there. So taking a look at the upcoming week 16, so that's this weekend. We've got the Yellow Jackets and the Lions. That is tomorrow at 5. And then we got the Kings and the Aviators. That's tomorrow at 6. And also at 6 tomorrow, again, this game is going to be streamed by Minotaur. You see there the little graphic. The Shuckers and Legends. And then our game on Sunday is at 4 p.m. Against the Legends. And that is also going to be streamed by Minotaur. So if you're not able to go out to that game, you can catch that game live on Minotaur streaming. And then we also got the Aviators taking on the Buffalo Extreme, the #1 team in the nation, on Sunday. Over in the red division, we've got the Aces and the Strike tomorrow at 4. Kings and Aviators we already talked about. The Commerce take on the Pythons down in Alabama. That's a big travel as far as within the red division. If we had the Instigators traveling down to Alabama, I mean, I'd be at the game, but it's a bit of a travel. On Saturday night, also Saturday night, you got the Capitals and the Pros, and on Sunday night, the Warriors against the Commerce. Phoenix off for the week. But again, Minotaur streaming, great job with keeping everything up to date, being go-to source for news in the ABA Central Region, Red Division, and Blue Divisions. As far as scheduling, they're very up to date when it comes to that. Follow them on socials, and they're also going to be streaming a couple of the games this weekend for the Legends. But that's what we got for this weekend, where things stand. And then we're going to jump back over to the ABA stat leaders. So it looks like Dylan Cormier is still leading at 44.6 points per game for Steel City Yellow Jackets. Within our region, we also got Kenny Holmes Jr., 41.8 with the Steel City Yellow Jackets. Windy City Inferno, 36.7. Rodney Gaston Jr. And George Stanberry with 33 for the Nashville Aces. Rebounds per game, Pierre Walters still leading the way at 17.2. Louisville Pros, Anthony Southers at 15.8, number 3 in the nation. Windy City Inferno, Reggie Gallion, 14.9, number 4 in the nation. Assists per game, we've got Cameron Moore at 14.4 per game, leading the way. Dominique Williams with 11.4 on the Louisville Pros, number 3 in the nation. For the Nashville Aces, DJ Little at 10.8, tied there with Shamar Overstreet on the Louisville Pros at 5 and 6, respectively. Kenny Holmes Jr., the number 3 scorer in the nation, was also the number 8 assister in the nation at 9.9 for the Steel City Yellow Jackets again. And we've got the Aces with George Stanberry, who is number 10 in the nation in points and number 9 in the nation in assists, 9.3. Steals per game is led by Louisville Pros Dominique Williams with 8.3, a healthy lead over everyone else there as far as steals per game go. And you also have his teammate Shamar Overstreet at 4.9, number 7 in the league. DJ Little at 3.6 is number 9. And you got Jordan Heidelberg at 3.3 for the Indiana Legends, breaking the top 10 now as well. Scrolling through the other divisions, in the red division, obviously Aces and Kings still leading the way, followed by the Phoenix, the Pros, and the Commerce. In the black division, we've got the Windy City Inferno, I believe, should be the number 1 in that 11 to 1 record. And then you got the Fury at 12 and 3, and the Knights at 11 and 3 behind them. In the white division, got 402 Elite leading the way, 7 and 3. And then you got North Tulsa at 6 and 6, 500. Out in the East, New England Lightning staying undefeated, leading their blue division. In the white division, you got the number 1 team in the nation, Buffalo Extreme, 13 and 0, still undefeated. Also got the Wyoming Valley Clutch undefeated right now at 13 and 0. Binghamton dropped another game, drops to 8 and 4. Saratoga 7 and 3. Philly Thunder 7 and 4. Central PA Kings at 6 and 7. In the black division out in the East, you got Long Island Strong Arm. I don't know why I thought they were undefeated, but they are not. They're 10 and 2. So that win brings them to 10 and 2. Hartford Colts at 8 and 2, just behind them. In the red division in the East, got the 96ers leading the way at 10 and 2. Delaware Dogs 7 and 3. Richmond Ram Chargers 7 and 4. DC Crank at 6 and 5. South, we've got in the black division leading the way, Silverbacks of Mississippi, 11 and 0, still undefeated on the season. Gulf Coast Gladiators 8 and 4, and the Circle City Pythons there at 6 and 6. And again, I'm kind of just reading through some of the top teams in each of these divisions, not reading through the exhaustive list. The Austin Bats, I believe the other number 1 team at 13 and 0, undefeated still. Alamo City All Stars 11 and 2, and Midlothian Marshalls at 500. So a big gap there between the top 2 teams and the rest. In the red division in the South, we've got the Atlanta Defenders at 12 and 1, leading the way. Chattanooga Strike at 10 and 2. Columbus Skyhawks at 8 and 3. Atlanta Aliens 6 and 4. Strong Stepper 6 and 5. In the white division, you got the Tropics leading the way at 8 and 1 over the County Royals 7 and 4. Out west, we've got the Las Vegas Royals leading the way in the Alpha Conference Division A at 10 and 5. New Mexico Bull Snakes 5 and 2. The Guy Levy Legends, I believe they're technically in the top there, the 13 to 4 record, and the Alpha Conference Division B. You also got the San Diego teams there, the Mob at 10 and 2, and the Suns at 11 and 3. Then you got the Inland Empire Hounds at 8-4. So all kind of close there, fighting for that top spot. Out in front though, with a losing record, is the San Jose Wolfpack in the Beta Conference Division A. Then in the West Beta Conference Division B, got the Silicon Valley Panthers pretty much locking up that #1 seed there in that division at 15-0, still undefeated over the California Golden Tigers, 6-4. So stop sharing that. We're gonna take a look and go over to the rankings. So top 25, Buffalo Extreme and Austin Bats still stay at #1, tied there. And still probably just going to stay at that #1 tie unless something drastic happens. Nashville Aces 14-0. And a lot of these teams are not going to have changes in the records because of obviously the weather this past weekend. So Aces still #2. Silicon Valley Panthers still #3. Wyoming Valley Clutch 13-0, still #4. New England Lightning 12-0, 5. Steel City Yellow Jackets leading our division, #6, undefeated at 12-0. Mississippi Silverbacks, lowest ranked team of the undefeated teams at 11-0. Then you got your one-loss teams. You got the Windy City Inferno tied for #8. Florida Tropics are at 9. Atlanta Defenders also tied for #8 at 12-1. Then you got your two-loss teams for the most part. Chattanooga Strike up there, rounding up the top 10 or at #11. The Chicago Fury, first 3-loss team you see there. So the Chicago teams at Fury 12-3, 15, and #16 Chicago Knights 11-3. Ohio Kings still ranked below the Fury at 9-2. I will say though the Fury have had more games, so it's a little bit more reasonable at this point. But when they had essentially the same number of games and stuff, it was kind of crazy to see a team with a head-to-head win lower ranked. Obviously, you had that situation with the college football with Miami and um, Notre Dame until the playoffs. So then it changed. Then you got the Binghamton Bulldogs still up in the top 25 at #21. 402 Elite looks like are tied there for #22 with a 7-3 record. Either that or somebody did some Photoshop on there. And then that's pretty much it for our region for the top 25. Again, a lot of this is going to stay the same because there just was not any changes within the records if there's no games. I also did see, I mean, this isn't like anything crazy, but you can go on here on the ABA website. I just seen this logo. That's why I didn't read it. I just seen it. So I wanted to read this or at least scroll through here. And then also check and see if it has where they're playing. But it's the Charlotte Angels, definitely not a logo like you would see in any other team, especially not in basketball. But unique logo right there for the Charlotte Angels. Then you got the Danville Devils. Looks like joining the ABA next year. But I was trying to see if the Danville team was in Indiana, but I don't see it anywhere that it specifies there. Interesting. But anyways, that's an interesting logo from the Charlotte Angels. That's all I was saying. Yeah, so that's catching back up with things around the league within our division and region. and kind of looking forward to see where everything shakes out. Obviously, if we can win this game against the Legends, that puts us in a better position. Um, we'll share the screen here. These are not going to be correct. So this was what we had on for the original 2026 schedule. So we were supposed to have that Motorsports Night. That game you can scratch, but it will be one of these other games. Will be the Motorsports Night. So keep an eye out for that. We'll make that announcement here over the next few days. Still got some games here left on the schedule at home though. So February 15th, that weekend on Sunday, we have a game against Hesse. I've got to get this graphic and the other graphic, which we're going to show here in just a few minutes. Both of them still updated because, again, everything changed again. Then we got the Kings on the 22nd. Again, another Sunday game. And then our final home game of the season, regular season, is going to be at Saturday night, February 28th against the Capitals. So that's what we got on the schedule left. Those bottom three still on the docket. And then obviously we got games to reschedule. So when we have those, we'll announce those as well. Um, as far as what we had for the away schedule coming up, um, obviously you got to get this updated because the game against the Aces did get pushed back or postponed, rescheduled, whichever. And then we've got the game next week against the Phoenix. But in between that, we've also got the game this Sunday against the Indiana Legends. So we'll have to reflect that. Then we got a road game against the Kings on February 14th, and then our final road game of the season so far will be on February 22nd, that Sunday against the Inferno. So, still got to get these fixed again. That's why we haven't fully posted these and shared them. But that's what we've got coming up here as far as what we've got on the schedule for 2026. Still plenty of games left, and where we stand currently right now is pretty good. It would put us in the playoffs for the first time, but we've got to continue that momentum and kind of regroup, especially after last week's loss, one of our lowest scoring games, and just overall lowest scoring game. But that's what we've got this weekend against the Legends again. We're going to be in-state play, in-state friendly rivalry play. But we've also, if you're not there to catch it in person, you can watch it on Minotaur streaming, catch it live there. So got that, and then we will regroup, and hopefully next week our games go according to what we have on the schedule. Hopefully the weather improves and this and that. But if you're up in the area this weekend, I will see you guys there. I had planned on coming up for Motorsports Night. It is no longer Motorsports Night, but I'll be there for a road game. For me, road games are always interesting. This is just a fun fact, personal note. Something I like to share. Being one of the co-owners, kind of giving you guys the glimpse of that. So really like what I plan, obviously being based here in Florida, I plan these ahead of time most of the time, maybe like week of sometimes, but with work and stuff, I've been planning further and further ahead. Especially end of the month is a difficult time to get off, with my positions and whatnot. Anyway, I am going up, and even though we don't have that home game anymore, I'm still going up. I'm gonna have fun with the Legends game, a friendly rivalry, so to say. But the difference between, and this is where I'm going with it, the difference between when I go up for a home game and an away game, obviously if you're going to a home game, you have way more responsibilities. Away games, there really is not much responsibilities. So that's always the one positive flip side, to look at these away games. I used to drive up to these and make a whole weekend out of them, but that's just not on the schedule for right now for me. But either way, I think I'll bring that camera up, get some footage and stuff, and see if we can make some cool videos or something this weekend, and enjoy it. But That's really our big news for, or most of our news for this week. On this week's episode, catching you guys back up. Have not been able to jump into this yet, but I did want to at least touch base on this. I haven't had a chance, and I wish I had more information on it, but I've just been super tied up with work. With the end of the month again in my position, that's I had, I'm working extra hours and this and that, so ties me up. I haven't been able to jump into some stuff, but I did see our good friend and co-owner Spacely over in the Discord was dropping a bunch of chat. So if you are in our Discord, check out what he's been chatting about, because I'm gonna have to go back and read through this weekend. So while I'm at the airport, when I'm at the hotel, whenever, I'm going to be catching back up on all of this. From what I do see, is Spacely has released a fun little game for you guys to play. It is Who's Your State Simulate. So the link for that is over on our Discord. So check out the Discord, and you can play Who's Your State Simulate. From what I see here, let me see if I can pull that up here. So again, I have not had a chance to play this yet. I'm definitely going to be making an account. But you can see on here, it's Hoosier State Simulate. And you can sign up there. It's over on the Discord. Let's see if I can pull that announcement up here. So over on our Discord, if you're not already on the Discord, there's a link right there. You can click that, play the game, and it looks like a simulation game for your Hoosier State Instigator fans, with some pretty cool features. It looks like. Looks like he can get the active He's got the active roster he's building in there. Some of the owners, some of our top fans, and looks like he got alter egos in the works as well. So that looks like lots of fun. I'm definitely going to be playing that and looking more into this, so I can speak better on it next week. Again, it just timing wise, I haven't had a ton of time to go in depth and check this out, but I'm just scrolling through the chat on the Discord. Looks like a bunch of our guys are having fun with this. You see Waylib in there, Peanut, um, Night J Wright, Boykin, some of our top guys there, in that chat, playing the game, sharing their screenshots. And it looks like you even got 3D rule light effects and a bunch of cool stuff on there. So I'm gonna get into that this weekend. At the airport, hotel, anytime I got spare time. So that looks like fun, and hopefully we can get Spacely on here to speak on that, as well. He can break it down a little further, and give more insight as far as the ins and outs on that. Um, but that is another little fun thing we got in the works now. So a game that you guys could play, fun free game there. So that's a cool little thing we got in the works, that you can do now. But just want to share that too. I'll share it again next week. I'll share my opinion on the game too, and let you guys know how it goes in Hoosier State Simulate. I think that is the first Hoosier State specific game. I know we've been in other games, Web3 games and such, um, but I think that's the first game developed on our end. But that's what we got for this week's episode. It's been episode 118 of Instigate Success, building an ABA franchise. Thank you as always for joining us here Friday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern. I think we're streaming here live on YouTube now. And if you're catching this on a replay, I think we're still over on YouTube. So thank you for joining us, however you are. And, we appreciate your support as always. And hopefully we can see it, even though it's an away game. It's a close away game against the Indiana Legends tomorrow. Hope to see you guys, or not tomorrow, Sunday. Sunday. Keep that in mind. Sunday. It is that. The Motorsports Night is not this week. It is rescheduled. So please do not show up for the Motorsports Night this week. Keep an eye out for the next few days. We will have the rescheduled one, so you can plan for it accordingly again. But we've got the game against the Legends on Sunday and the road. Can also catch it live on Mintar streaming. But that is going to be it for tonight's episode. Thank you again for joining us, and thank you for the support. Until next week, as always, be great and Instigate.